Greetings nerdy list aficionados! So Avengers Endgame Easter eggs. So before we even talk about anything, spoilers. If you don't want to know anything, please stop now. We will be diving into that territory, so be forewarned, for forewarned is forearmed. Before we get started, I'm thrilled to announce that this video is brought to you by Amino, specifically Marvel Amino. Amino Apps is the amazing service where you can create fan communities about, well, pretty much anything. You can share art, polls, roleplay, and now it's just got a little more exciting, because you can now use Amino Stories, a fun, fast, exciting way to share all of your fandom experiences. It's a new community feature. Let me explain. You can have up to 10 slides. Your scenes must be in between 3 and 15 seconds, so 2 minutes and 30 seconds of bite-sized fun. And you can edit your scenes with the trim feature, reorder them, add music to completely customize your story. And I'm telling you all this because we want to see your stories. As you can see from the title of this video, we just saw the Avengers and we can't believe it. We want your spoiler-free stories. It's a great way to connect with friends and stay tapped in with your Amino community. No more leaving to create stories elsewhere. Now everything you need is on Amino. Follow us at Top 10 Nerd on Marvel Amino to share your Amino stories. Why yes, my hair was different, just like Black Widow. I'm Sasha and let's do this. Last chance to get out and not be spoiled. Do it now. Number 10. Russo cameo. It is not uncommon for directors to appear in their movies, and the Russos are no exceptions. You can see a brother at one of the support meetings run by Steve, for survivors of the snap who are attempting to move on with their lives. The director in this case, Joe, details his attempts to go on a date and how both him and his companion began crying, but they decided that they would see each other again. This movie brings the feels. If you felt the last one was lacking in any character moments, this one brings them in spades. Better than an M. Night cameo, I think. Number 9. X-Men names. Since Disney has acquired far more rights and assets than they had when they started the MCU, it is now more likely than ever that properties such as the X-Men and the Fantastic Four could appear in this universe. And some subtle priming occurred in this movie in the memorial scene. When Scott Lang returns from the quantum realm, he stumbles across the mass memorials for those lost in the snap. As he scrambles around looking for his family's names, there are X-Men names to be found. One in particular, Robert DaCosta, aka Sunspot of the New Mutants. Sunspot can absorb and channel solar energy. It's going to be very interesting to see how mutants could be incorporated into this universe and who they will choose. I mean, they have lots of choices. If they go with an atypical roster, they can even avoid those pesky Fox comparisons. Number 8. Captain Marvel's haircut. Carol Danvers may start the film with a similar look to that of her own film, though it is slightly different, a bit more made up, which caused a lot of contention online. However, after a certain time jump, she appears with a haircut reminiscent of the style she sports in Higher, Further, Faster. The arc by Kelly Sue DeConnick that transformed the character into Captain Marvel gave her a new suit and look, and also contained a bit of the arc upon which her film was based. DeConnick also got a bit of a cameo in that movie. Number 7. The Terminal Beach by J.G. Ballard. This is a book that can be seen being read in the film. J.G. Ballard was a famous novelist and short story writer, known for his post-apocalyptic concepts. This book, The Terminal Beach, is a collection of short stories, one of which is called Endgame. It's the tale of a prisoner who lives in a house with his executioner, but has no idea when he will be executed. So to pass the time, the two play chess. Endgame, of course, also refers to the denouement or final bout of moves in a chess match. This can occur where sometimes the conclusion of the match is foregone, but the player may have no way to avoid it, and have to play it to the end. Significant. Number 6. Ballet shoes. Black Widow can be seen in the Avengers compound office after a particularly difficult conference call, and on a chair in the room lie some ballet shoes. Perhaps innocent, perhaps a reference to the Red Room, the area where Black Widow was created, raised, and honed to be an assassin, or potentially some setup for her solo movie. In films, nothing is placed there by accident, especially not so prominently in the foreground. Number 5. The Big Lebowski. After the events of Infinity War, Thor isn't doing so well. The deaths of his family and everyone he knows are really starting to weigh on him, and he has descended into a life of wastrelessness and video games. He has grown out long hair and a beard, drinks beer, wears a long robe and loose shirt. In a sense, he has become the dude, and Tony even refers to him as Lebowski. The Big Lebowski is a 1998 cult film starring Jeff Bridges. It tackles slacker culture. In this film, Jeff Bridges plays a character named the Dude, who ends up on a series of random adventures because of his hapless nature. In fact, a large part of the plot is driven forward by a rug. They gotta find the rug, it's a great movie. Number 4, America's Ass. Okay, seriously, get out, spoilers. During the time heist, a crew of Iron Man, the Hulk, Captain America, and Ant-Man go back to 2012, to the incident in New York, to get the stones. While there, Tony comments on the costume that Cap had during that era, and says it does nothing for Cap's ass. Ant-Man reiterates that it's America's ass, a sentiment that Captain America parrots after a duel with himself leads to him knocking himself out. He confirms that it is indeed America's ass. This is a reference to all of the memes and lusts surrounding Cap's rear during 2012 after the Avengers film was released. There were GIFs for days. It started pretty specifically after the gym scene. You know the one, Cap punching the punching bag? There are a lot of thirsty people out there, and they're still thirsty. There were whole fan pages dedicated to this, just blogs about Captain America's fantastic rear. I mean, you know, it is amazing. I like it. It's not Nightwing, but still. Number 3, Harley. So okay, well, get your tissues ready. But if you imagine that this film is going to be the end of the road for some of our heroes, then you were 100% right. And during one of the heroes' send-offs, the characters are there. All of them, just a huge massive scene. This includes Harley, who is part of Iron Man 3, the child that helps Tony repair his armor and also manages to help him overcome his PTSD, thanks to the magic of being a child in a movie. A full-grown Harley attends the funeral, and even gets his own full pan. Nick Fury was also there, and Jon Favreau reprised his role as Happy. Never forget Jon Favreau starred it all. People tend to forget that he directed Iron Man. Number 2, New Asgard. In the film, the remaining Asgardians have settled in a little coastside town called New Asgard. The thing is, that spot is exactly where Odin said that people would settle in Thor Ragnarok, right before Loki and Thor battle Hela for the first time. Odin, wise and all-seeing till the end, but still a terrible parent. Actually, this movie was all about tying up loose ends. Also, that whole fisherman town thing was very Aquaman. I was just waiting for him to show up. Crossover time. Number 1, Hail Hydra. So I make this joke all the time, and so does the internet. Hydra Cap, the arc that produced the infamous panel of Captain America saying, "Hail Hydra." Ultimately, this arc was undone very quickly, as it proved to not only be extremely memeable, but also highly unpopular, to have such an icon essentially be turned into one of the very villains he fought against. Well, in keeping with this film showing that it is indeed aware of the culture surrounding these films, they had a little fun with this. In order to get one of the Infinity Stones, Captain America must go undercover in S.H.I.E.L.D. as a Hydra agent in order to get the asset he seeks. He leans in and says the infamous, "Hail Hydra." Amazing, so perfect, and way better than how the line was originally implemented. So I really hope you clicked off if you didn't want to be spoiled. But I have to say, no spoilers now, I really enjoyed this film. I will 100% see it again, and it felt like a fitting cap on this era. To me at least. Mileage will 100% vary. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it, and will you be seeing it again? Thanks so much for joining us here on Top 10 Nerd. I'm Sasha, and well, whatever it takes. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.